The finale for The Mandalorian Season 3 brought an end to Moff Gideon. With a fiery explosion, we saw him die. Or did we? A huge theory has emerged from the finale that the Moff Gideon that we saw in Season 3 was actually a clone. Many fans believe that the real Moff Gideon is out there and will be making his triumphant return in The Mandalorian Season 4. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but stick around to the end of this video so I can tell you how wrong this theory is and why this will never happen, because the Ahsoka show is going to change the Star Wars galaxy forever. What's up guys, it's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, and today we are talking about how the Moff Gideon in that Season 3 finale was actually a clone. So smash a like on this video so I can tell you why this is not the case. The main reason for this theory was that the Moff Gideon we saw in Season 3 didn't have a mustache, and the Moff Gideon we saw in Season 2 and Season 1 had a mustache. I know, crazy, right? But in all seriousness, it is kind of strange for a character in Star Wars to change their appearance this drastically. Especially when Moff Gideon is around so much cloning in this series, it isn't that far-fetched for fans to believe that this Moff Gideon could be a clone. And of course, we saw that Moff Gideon was creating Force-sensitive clones in this finale, and we saw a close-up of one of those clones in the bacta tank, and it didn't have a mustache either. But that's about the extent of the theory, and here's where it falls apart. How did clone Moff Gideon know about Bo-Katan having the Darksaber, know about his backstory with Din Djarin, know about Grogu, and everything else the original Moff Gideon knew? We know, because cloning has been a major part of Star Wars for years now, that cloning doesn't work that way. Memory doesn't transfer from one clone to the next. Look at the prequel trilogy. All the clones that fought alongside the Jedi weren't the same as Jango Fett. They had a mind of their own. However, let's say for fun that Gideon found a way to transfer memories from one clone to the next. With Dr. Pershing, of course. But why would Moff Gideon not reveal himself to still be alive? If the galaxy thinks he's dead, that means the Empire also thinks he's dead, and he loses all credibility and all power. So now Moff Gideon, the guy who wanted all this power through the first 3 seasons, trying to create a Force-sensitive army so he could take over the galaxy, is just gonna go be an old hermit on an island? But the biggest reason why Moff Gideon definitely was not a clone and is actually dead for good is because of Grand Admiral Thrawn. The Ahsoka show comes out this August and will start the next phase for the Mandoverse. The real reason that The Mandalorian Season 3 actually felt like a real ending to the story of Din Djarin and Grogu, and even ended the same way all the original trilogy films did, was because it is the end of this first phase for the Mandoverse. The threat of Moff Gideon is gone. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Grand Admiral Thrawn. So the Ahsoka show is going to set up this way bigger threat in the galaxy than Moff Gideon, and it's going to make the first phase of the Mandoverse look a little bit smaller than this next gigantic phase, which is going to end in the movie theaters. Because if you've been living under a rock and you don't know by now, Dave Filoni is directing one of the next Star Wars films that is going to be a Mandalorian movie, which will be a culmination of all these shows in a climactic event in the movie theaters. And when we look back at Moff Gideon, he will be the guy who created the first Force-sensitive clones, which eventually led to Supreme Leader Snoke and the First Order. And the guy who shaved his mustache, because, yeah, that's right. Maybe the reason that Moff Gideon didn't have a mustache in Season 3 of The Mandalorian was because he shaved it. And when Thrawn comes back into the Star Wars galaxy with his army of undead stormtroopers brought back from the dead by the Night Sisters, he will make Moff Gideon look like a nice guy who just wanted some Force-sensitive friends. So in a way, aren't we all Moff Gideon? And if I'm wrong and Moff Gideon does come back in The Mandalorian Season 4, then wow, this video will not age well. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Moff Gideon is still alive and the one that we saw in this 3rd season was a clone? Or do you think Moff Gideon just saved his mustache and we killed Moff Gideon off to pave the way for Grand Admiral Thrawn's great return to the Star Wars galaxy in the Ahsoka show? Tell me in the comment section below, smash a like on this video, hit subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And like I said, I think Moff Gideon is actually done this time. We saw him die, and being the main villain for 3 seasons of a show is a long time. So it's time to usher in the new Grand Admiral Thrawn. And of course, we go live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so don't miss out on any of that. And if you want more, go tell me what you thought about The Mandalorian Season 3 as a whole in this video about whether or not The Mandalorian Season 3 was good or bad.